hello, folks. I know most people here. I was the director here at Salmon for 12 years, and Jim was here the whole time. So, it's quite amazing to remember Jim and how special he was. And the world, and Salmon especially, will be a very different place without Captain Guild. Jim was an amazing person, as we've already heard, and we'll hear some more other stuff as well. But, unlike he'd lead you to believe, he wasn't quite perfect. He'd tell you that, wouldn't he? And he'd give you that impression, but he wasn't quite there. And I want to tell you a little story about that also shows the heart of Jim and the things that he cared for and what he was about. Jim led his life at 1,000,000 miles an hour, feeling every day, every hour, every minute. Sometimes, like most of us, if not all of us, he was in a rush to get to wherever he was going. There was a time that this caused him a problem. So one Wednesday, I think it was about 2005, Jim said to me, "I'll be late tomorrow, Mark," which was really unusual because he was always in the office by 8 o'clock, even though he had a long way to come in. 8:30 was the latest he was in, and if he came in at 8:30, he probably had his breakfast in a roll because he wanted to get on and do his work and that kind of stuff. So I just said to him instantly, "Everything all right, Jim?" And I got a grunt back, which I interpreted to mean, let's not talk about this anymore. So there we go. So anyway, he arrived the following Thursday, turns up, and he said to me, "We need to talk." I said, "Oh, what's going on, Jim?" He said, "I've been banned from driving. And you could have knocked me over." I was like, "What? What's going on?" And he said, "Yeah, you get the idea, don't you?" So what's going on, Jim? Well, it was, anyway, I can't drive. So what you've got to do is, for the 6 to 9s club, because that was his biggest concern, for our summer residential, you've got to drive us there on Bank Holiday Monday and then come back and pick us up on the Friday, which I duly did because I had no choice in doing that. But in terms of his ban as well, it gets even better really, because his last two set of points he got was on Tower Bridge, right? How many people do you know that got him on Tower Bridge? And the reason he got him on Tower Bridge was because he was leaving late at night. Not only did he start early in the morning, he'd also leave late at night, and he'd gone over 20 miles an hour twice, not once, but twice. But do you want to hear this? The car that he was driving was no Porsche or Ferrari, because Jim was always into techie stuff, weren't he? It was one, remember those little smart cars that you could drive in front ways? He got banned in a smart car. I mean, only Jim could do some of those kind of things for us, couldn't he? That's the kind of guy he was. But anyway, so I duly had to take him down to the residential and do all that. And I think it was Mary, who was our cleaner at the time, who volunteered in 6 to 9. She got kicked on the train so that I could drive the coach down and get Jim down. But that's how it worked. As I say, I mean, one of the things that we did consider at that time was, given that his street cred had gone up greatly, was to start him working with the teenagers, because anyone who's been banned from driving is going to have a bit of an impact with teenagers. But we knew that wasn't the place. The only place that Jim was ever at home or where he should be was 6 to 9s, and that's where most people knew Jim being involved in Salmon. But actually it was all the other things that Jim did and knew and kept this place, really was kind of the rock that this place was built on. So he knew everything. I don't know if you know this, Resis, but he knew exactly how many pints of milk you ordered every day. And he also knew how much money we had in the bank and all that kind of stuff. And when we was building this great place, halfway through it, we had to change our bank account to cash flow it and all that. And after a few grunts and groans, Jim just got on and did it and helped us get to where we are today. It would be amiss of me not to say that Jim, as we remember him, knew that his God loved him. The amazing Jim and the speeding Jim in his little smart car. He had a belief that the life of Jesus means we can be accepted by God for who we are And although I'm incredibly sad that Jim will no longer be with us, I know that God is saying to him, "Well done, good and faithful Captain Guild." One of the things I will never hear again and will miss forever when phoning this place is that, right, hello, Salmon Centre, or even just walking into the building and, hello, and that will never be there. And that will be missed, and lots of people will miss that. So in finishing, I'd really like to say, goodbye, Captain Guild. It was a privilege to know you. Go rest in peace in heaven, my friend. No one deserves it more than you.
So now, two of our residential community, Emma and Mandy, are going to say something.
Hi. I'm going to say something separately, and then Mandy's going to do a bit of Resi stuff. I haven't prepared anything because I sleep at night. Oh, I need to write this down, I need to write that down, and you'd be here for about 4 hours. But I've known Jim since I was 14. Yes, and he's seen me grow from a little 14-year-old who used to steal people's passes, shoes, to a woman that is getting married next year, loving the job that she does. Thank you. But I will never forget walking in and seeing Jim every morning before I go to work, having our little chats. He would walk to Tesco's in his slippers. Yes. And then there was one little memory I want to share with you. I'm going to do a little acting, which I don't normally do. But when I was Gapper, me and Jim used to take it in turns to get lunch for each other. And at this time of year, it was snowy and icy. And Jim was like, I think you should go today. But I was adamant, no, it's Jim's turn, he's got to go. So Jim being Jim, his cheeky little self, decides that he's going to turn round on the road, knowing that I'm watching him, head down, and that little shuffle he does to make you feel bad. And he has to check that you're still watching, so he'll... And obviously me with Jim has a very special part in my heart. I couldn't do it. So I had to walk Jim to the shop to get my lunch, which, yes, I will never forget that. And I will never forget him being part of my baptism on the roof and the prayer he said for me. And the picture, I have a very special picture of him saying that prayer that I will never, ever forget. But I think he is a real tribute to your family, and you have done very well, and he will never be out of my life. He will walk me down the aisle. He will see me when I have my kids, and he will be there forever. And yeah, I will never forget him. But yeah, thank you.
This is where I wish I'd bought my glasses. Okay, I just want to say I feel very, very privileged to be able to say a few words on behalf of the Resi community here at Salmon. For those of you who don't know, there's a number of us that live upstairs. And after 6 to 9's Club, every Thursday, we always go up for food and we have a meeting. We pray together, read the Bible together, and just genuinely have a nice time together. And for over 10 years, Jim has been part of coming to Resi's. So for every Thursday evening, he's been there. And with all the other areas in his life, he's been a loyal and faithful person at those meetings and hardly ever missed an evening. And despite all the other areas in his life, all the busyness that he had, he always made time to come to Resi's. And for me, I've been here for about 6.5 years, and he's been a consistent presence throughout that period. Those Resis who got to know Jim have mentioned a few things that will stick in their minds. The meal would very rarely start before 8:30 because that's when Jim came up after sorting all the footballers out. That's the time he came up, and that's the time we would be able to eat. And he always sat at the same place at the table, and he enjoyed his food, as we all know, and he also loved a glass of red wine, which was great because it meant I wasn't drinking on my own. He couldn't ever resist cakes or sweets that often is going on upstairs, and he also loved a cup of tea, which was generally made for him after his dinner. Jim always had a clipboard and would have his own items to discuss, including any complaints from the neighbours about the noise, and then he would take time to listen to our moans and groans, and if there was anything that needed to be sorted out, Jim would always make sure it was done really quickly. As a sign of how at home he felt, he would come in his slippers, and it wouldn't be unusual to turn around and see Jim with his eyes closed during the meeting for a few minutes. Jim loved the banter and the humour of Resis, and we would often hear that loud laugh, as well as him chipping in now and again with the odd one-liner. Jim was always on the end of the phone out of hours for the Resis, which was a great comfort. Most recently, I had to call him at 6:30 to tell him that water was pouring down from the walls because of a pipe that had broken. And Jim, in his usual calm way, just turned round and said, "Oh dear," but immediately was able to sort it out and make sure that there was somebody that could come and fix it. Recently, instead of our Resis meeting, we went to the pub for a meal, and Jim enjoyed a massive burger, even though he complained about the cost of it. He actually really enjoyed it. And what was lovely was we went out to Ems, who's over there, afterwards, and it was Jim who stayed out while some of us headed back because we were too tired and wanted to get to bed. But it was Jim who stayed out and just had a great time, and just loved being around people, and I wish I had half of his energy. Jim loved God, and he would pray for the Resis, which we really appreciated. I can't tell you how much we are missing him and how much he has given to us, and we want to take this opportunity to say thank you, Jim.